Hi, in this video I'm going to be taking a look at an alternative front end for the Miyoo Mini. Now this alternative front end is called MiniUI and it's probably ideal for those of you that want the most simplistic, minimalistic front end for the Miyoo Mini. It enables you to get straight into your systems, straight into your games, no messing about with things like themes and all the rest of the stuff. They really have kept it bare bones. But anyway, let's dive in and have a look. So here I am on the page for MiniUI, and if we scroll down you'll see here that it gives you a couple of thumbnails showing you what the interface actually looks like. Now if you've ever used the Powkiddy A66 or the TrimUI devices, then this will be very familiar. It's basically the exact same interface that was used on them. And one of the nice things about this is it gets rid of themes and all the clutter. It really keeps it down to the essentials. Choose a system you want to play, choose a game you want to play, and that's it. Now, if you hit the menu button, you've got this little pop-up menu that appears here where you can save, load. You've got an advanced option where you can go in and tweak a few things with the emulator, such as putting on your frame rate or changing the aspect ratio, for example. And one of the things I really like is the ability to see a thumbnail for each of your game saves and also your loads. And that's something that's sorely lacking from Onion. I mean, I really like Onion, but that's sorely lacking. And for that reason, that's why I tend to use stock as opposed to Onion. But anyway, let's move on and check this out. So the key thing about this, as it says here, is simplicity. That's really what they've gone for. And it makes the point here, no settings or configuration. It's a simple launcher, and you can see here the systems that it supports. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's hardly anything. Why should I switch to this? But it's not just these systems. You also have an extras pack, which gives you some other systems. And then there's like an extras pack, which has been created by somebody else, which provides other platforms as well. But anyway, let's get started with getting this thing installed. So I'll leave a link to this page in the description below. And what I've got here is the latest version. So what I'm going to do is to download, here's the main file here, the zip file. So let's download this. And I'm also going to download the extras file. But anyway, let's get this started. So I'll download the main zip file first, and then the extras file. And I'm also going to download the extras as well. So now that those are downloaded, I'm going to extract each of these and the extras. So let's take a look inside that main folder. So there's a README file in here. And you'll see here that it says to install it, copy the contents of this archive to the root of a fresh FAT32 formatted SD card. Don't forget the Miyoo folder. Insert your SD card into the device and power it on. MiniUI will install automatically and be ready to go in about 10 seconds. Okay, so the first thing I need to do then is to format a card as FAT32. Now I'm going to use Rufus, and I've already got a 32 gig card in my card reader. So what I'm going to do here is choose, within Rufus I'm going to choose non-bootable. I'm going to change the volume label to be MiniUI and leave that as quick formatted. I'm going to uncheck the create extended label and icon files and then click on start. So, yep. Okay, so that's completed, so I can close that. So there's my card here, MiniUI. So we're already inside that main folder there, so I don't need the README file, but what I am going to do is to choose each of these. So that's everything that was in here, apart from the README file, and just drag and drop it to the MiniUI card. Okay, and that's it. So now I'm going to eject this. So now I can take the card out and I'm going to put it into the Miyoo Mini and then boot up with that. Okay, so my first step here is to put the card into the slot. Let's power on. And you can see it seems to be very quick. Okay, so it's saying empty folder, which is fair enough because we haven't put any ROMs in there, we haven't put the BIOS files in, nothing like that. But you can see there it's installed and you can see how quick that was. So now what I'm going to do is to power off, eject the card, and I'm going to start populating it with ROMs and BIOS files. So I'm putting the card back into the card reader. So looking at the MiniUI card again, you'll see there's a folder for BIOS and a folder for ROMs. Looking at the BIOS, you'll see that there's one folder per system. And looking at ROMs, again, there's a folder per system, but it also has in brackets the abbreviation. And you need to leave these in place because it's used as an identifier. So don't sort of edit these to make them look a bit tidier because it actually needs these abbreviations. Okay, so let's go back to the documentation. And if we scroll down this, it tells a little bit about shortcuts. We can come to that later. Here's the section on ROMs and here's the section on BIOS. So it says here, for the BIOSes, some emulators require or perform much better with official BIOS. MiniUI is strictly BYOB, bring your own BIOS in other words. Place the BIOS for each system in the folder that matches the tag in the corresponding ROMs folder name. And they've got the list of BIOSes here. I reckon probably your safest bet is to go to your original card for the Miyoo Mini and use the BIOS files that contains. Now I've got mine backed up to hard disk, so what I'm going to do is to shrink this down a little bit. Here's the BIOS folders here, and I'm going to copy across the BIOS files from my card backup into the respective folders here. So for Famicom, it's looking for disksys.rom. Let me just scroll through the list here. So we have that there. For GB, gbbios.bin. GBA. Okay, so that's the BIOS files. I'm also going to copy across a few ROMs for each of these platforms. Now, I'll just cut the video here and come back once I've done that. There's no point boring the pants off you watching me copying ROM files backwards and forwards. Okay, so that's my ROMs copied across. Now at this point, I could eject the card, put it in, and check out those ROMs. But let's take a look at the extras. So let's take a look inside here. So we've got the BIOS, and again, it's for 4 extra systems: Game Gear, PC Engine, I think that's Pokemon Mini, and Sega Master System. And if we look at these EMUs, again, same sort of thing. So all we need to do really is just to copy these directories exactly as they are and drag and drop them across to the root of the card. So if we look at the root of the card now, you'll see it's as it was before, but we now have these additional directories as well with the EMUs and the tools in there. So what I'm going to do is to also, I might as well, while I'm here, also do the extras. And same thing, take each of these and drag it across to the root of the card. So I'm just going to say yes to this. So now if we look in the BIOS folder and also the ROMs folder, we should see a bit of a difference here, and we have got extra systems listed here. So I'm not going to do it just now, but exactly the same principle applies. Find your BIOS for each of these. So find the Game Gear BIOS if you need that. drop it in there, find the one for the links, and out of that definitely, if you go into here, it tells you that here's the file you need, links boot.img, which will go in there. I think the others are probably extra. If it's needed, it'll go in there. This one's for the Sega CD, so yeah, you definitely need to put the files in there, and I think there's 3 go in there. So yeah, just go into each of these and it'll tell you if you need the BIOS file. If you do, drop it into that folder. For the ROMs, you'll see here now we've got quite a few extra directories here. And again, just work your way down the list, putting your ROMs into these folders. So anyway, what I'm going to do at this stage is eject the card. I'm not going to bother populating these just now. There's no point keeping you waiting. What I'm going to do is to eject the card, put it back into the Miyoo Mini, and we'll take a look. So I'm going to pop the card in the slots, power it on. So you can see here the list of systems. Not everything's showing up, but then not everything has ROMs in it. So let's take a look at Game Boy Color. And I'll choose 1942. Now, one of the things you'll notice, I don't even know if you can see it that well on the screen, is that the picture is small and very dull. That's an easy fix. Press the menu button, go down to Advanced, Options, Audio and Video, and all I've done is go down to the screen size and change it from native to aspect. Back out of that screen, save config, and I'm saving it as a global config. Okay, so I'm now going to resume the game, and you'll see there it's pretty much filling the screen height-wise, and it's a lot brighter as well. Now there are controls here to adjust the brightness. I think it's start or select and then your L and R buttons, but that's in the documentation. That's an easy find. So there we are, that's it. So if you wanted to, you could press the menu button. You've got the save option, shows you empty slots. You've got a number of slots you can actually use. So I'll just do a quick save there. And I could go into load, and there's my save state there. So that's it. This whole thing, very simple, very straightforward, and very easy to use. So to quit the game, again, menu button, quit, and we're back at our list. Come out of this, we've then got Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and from the systems I've tried, it's the same sort of issue where you go in for the first time, it's set to whatever it is, native resolution. Just change it to aspect and everything is much clearer and better then. To be honest, I think this is a great little system. It's got that nice thumbnails for the save and load game states. Absolutely perfect. And it keeps it really down to just the basics for what you actually need. So that was the MiniUI front end for the Miyoo Mini. Now, one thing I should point out is if you're planning on putting on some 7-zip files onto your system, I'd suggest don't, because I put some on, and while it could read the names, it wasn't actually able to play any of them. So be a little bit wary with that. Okay, so let me know what you thought of this in the comments section below, and if you haven't subscribed, well, why not? Might as well do it now. And I'll see you in the next video.